Okay, this is cooking with Corpsie again. Chutney, which is something I've never actually made before. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I do the cooking with Corpsie stuff, is some of the stuff I want to know exactly how I did it when I come back to it, because I kind of do things by rule of thumb. Important things first, this is chutney, so it's a preserve, which means you have to make sure everything's quite sterile. I have the oven on very low heat and my glassware in there. I have in here the airtight ring, kind of boiling away and generally becoming sterile. I have a motherfucking ton of onions, a couple of apples, got some carrots, some garlic, and stuff. Now, one thing which will particularly appeal to you, Warren, is I'm going to caramelise the onions. What caramelised onions actually are burnt, with style, but burnt. It kind of gets all the sugars off. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to be doing it in batches, so I'll probably just record one batch, and then finish off those, put that to one side, and do the other ingredients. But what you first of all do is make sure that your cooking pot, is all nice and toasty and hot. I'll chuck a bit of oil in as well. It's very important not to overcrowd the pot, because it will get too hot. New camera angle, I believe. It's just all the fun with the knives, getting a nice cutting done. I'm doing it like this because I actually want a bit of bulk and texture to my chutney, which means that at some point I will be adding ingredients which aren't cooked completely. Yeah, because the weird thing is I kind of like a lot of my veg to be quite raw, or as close to raw as possible. So yeah, about that much should be good for your first block, and that's heating up nicely. Yes. Now, I use a lot of onions. If I used less onions, I'd grow my own. The apples are from my father's, I'll call it an orchard, but it's just a small plot of land over the road. It's an allotment. We have a lot of those in the UK. And I have walnut ketchup, which is actually made from foraged walnuts. And I've got other bits and stuff, and it's mostly boiled up in vinegar. Yes. Right then. That all looks like it's ready to go. In fact, as it looks like it's ready to go, let's get ready. Okay, in goes the first batch. There's going to be a fair amount of noise. Excellent. And these can go like that for a while, whilst I hack through a couple more onions. See, this is what I mean about them being carefully burnt. Yeah, you don't stir them around too much, you just let them kind of brown a bit. And because of my preference for raw onion and raw vegetables in general, this really bugs me. Right, they're starting to get a bit brown. But what you want them to do is soften up nicely. Right, they're just starting to go brown, so I should transfer those out in a couple of minutes. That'll do me. And whilst that's going on, I've still got time, so I might as well peel the carrots. Okay, they're kind of caramelised. Nice sort of brown bit. And I know I said don't overcrowd the pan, but you know what? I'm going to, because I'm feeling a bit impatient, kind of. There's about 500-600 grams of onion here. And the pan is tiny bit overcrowded. Sod it. It's all going to be reduced in vinegar later. Yeah, so anyway, that's going on. And I'll peel and chop the apples, which you don't need to see because that's fairly boring. Tell a lie, I am going to talk whilst I peel the apples, because there is something important about this. You see, apple skin is very, very high in pectin, and pectin is useful. At the moment I'm not making any jam, but I have a large amount of apples, so the jam is probably going to be made. And pectin is the setting agent. So, the peel comes off. I'll core in a moment or two. Slightly bruised one, this is a windfall. So that bit's going to be just locked up. Yeah, that'll do. Yes, so, like I was saying, pectin is the setting agent. And it's amazing what you can do if you're completely intent on minimising all sorts of waste. And something like this, whatever isn't actively used, ends up in the compost anyway. And goes to grow. Those smell done. Yep. Okay. Juggling a little bit still. I'm not kidding when I say that the onions, having them burnt, is called caramelising, because these do smell burnt, but they're very, very sweet. Onions are actually remarkably sugary. And that's going to be one of the problems for me whilst I'm doing this, is I'm using quite sugary main contents, so I don't quite know exactly how much sugar I'm supposed to be adding. Right, yeah, I'll sort that out in a second or two. Get this done first, because these are golden delicious. They're an eating apple, but yeah, strictly speaking, you should use something like a Bramley, which are a cooking apple, and they hold up a lot better. I'm pretty much guessing that this will end up turning straight into almost puree as it's in, and vanishing pretty much into the stock. I'll call it a stock even though it's a chutney, because that's roughly what I'm thinking of it as. So as it will vanish into the stock and help thicken that, and it's going to be the same with the sugars. And the sugars are going to be thickening. Damn this. Talking and peeling is complicated, honest. So that and that. Everything's going to be cut up into quite small amounts, given a quick fry off, and then I'm going to sort out the vinegar and the sugar and stuff. So, dum-de-dum, back in a bit. Okay, one thing that I've completely forgot about, but I've just done, is I've tossed the apples in a little bit of lemon juice. Can't remember what it does, but everyone says do it, so ta-da, I've done it. That'll go in before I cut my carrot pieces are too big, so I know, I'm starting to overcount the pan. When I say it's a no-no, it's, it is. But I don't care. Everything's kind of getting done. I would use a much wider flat bottom pan if I could. Unfortunately, this is the biggest one which isn't already pressed into service. So that's carrots, apples. I can add the onions back in. Right. And that is what it looks like so far. Right. Next up is garlic. So that's my packaging pile. Yeah, this is going to be boring again. It's me peeling cloves of garlic, about 5 or 6 or something, and rummaging around seeing what else I can put into this chutney. So yes, there we go. I'll say goodbye for a bit. Right, that's pretty much done. I missed out the section where I revealed that I'd been adding vinegar and the garlic, a little bit too much ginger and bits. And what I'm going to do now is just peel off a couple more apples and add an extra onion, so it's got this nice kind of extra bit of crunch to it. I'll then leave that to heat through for about another 5-10 minutes, and then I'll be jarring. So practically everything's done. This is just a little bit more apple in the lemon juice to go in. Now what I'm technically doing is I'm blanching them. Blanching is sticking on for a little bit and essentially just kind of getting them just heated through, more or less. And that's all going to go in now. Mixy, 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 etc. And the reason I'm doing this is so it gets a bit of a crunch into it. I may need a touch more liquid. Let's see. Yeah, so stuff and thing. There we go. Okay, this is jarring up. I have my big jar, which really could have done with something a bit smaller, but I didn't have any. And I have another jar, because at some point I'm going to want to share this with people by giving it to them, rather than by turning up with it and going, here, have some of mine. Right then. So, let's get to it then. Right. Got to sterilise the lid again. Anyway, that I don't know, it strikes me as if it needs more liquid. Well, we shall see. Let's just as you notice, it's all a little bit warm. It's all in fact very warm. I'd like to point out, I am a man, so I don't hold with oven gloves. These are actually welding gloves, and have served me very well. I have a feeling I should be making a lot more of this stuff. Yes, it does strike me as if I need to make a teeny bit more kind of syrupy stuff to it. But for now, that will do. And so all that remains for me to do is bring the saucepan with the boiling water up to heat. The second that's done, I can then seal, and it should be all okay. There we go, that's cooking with Corpsie, and the first batch of chutney that I've ever made.